Hi everyone, welcome to grade 9 and 10 mathematics class. This is the summer session camp. So today we are going to at least generalize what we have seen in the last episodes, and today's class will be the last live summer session for grade 9 and 10. So on today's class, we have so many things to discuss. The first one is we need to talk about the sum of the exterior angle of a polygon. Next, we'll talk about, in general, the circles, but specifically, we'll talk about the areas, perimeters of arc, chord, and sector circle specifically. So hope you'll be with me in the coming couple of hours. And if you have any comments and suggestions you want to give me, there is a link which is associated with this summer camp session, and you can just provide it to me. Hope you'll be with me, and let me proceed. So in the last episode, we have talked about the sum of interior angle of a polygon. The sum of interior angle of a polygon is given by n minus 2 multiplied by 180, where n belongs to the number of sides of the polygon. So the sum of the interior angle of a polygon depends upon the number of sides of the polygon. Now today, the other way, the exterior angle of a regular polygon. So to determine that, let me define how to form the exterior angle of a polygon. So we have here a definition. So the definition says an exterior angle of a convex polygon is an angle outside of the polygon formed by one of the sides, as you can see, one of the sides of the polygon and the extension of the adjacent side. Now look, this is the adjacent side of the angle. Then if you extend it over here, and then you will form an angle called an exterior angle. So an exterior angle of a polygon is formed by one of its side and an extension of the adjacent side. So this is called the adjacent side of the angle. This is called the extended side of the angle. And this is called the sides of the angle, one of the sides. This is the side of the polygon, adjacent side of the polygon, and exterior side, or the extended side. We can say that. Then, based on this information, you can form the exterior angle of a polygon, right? ስለዚህ exterior angle of polygon ሃመጌርካ ይፎርም ክበር ተሎ ተተሂሉ ኩሉ ግዜ ሰለስተ ነገራት ተዋሳእቲ ነገር ኣለዎ ማለት እዩ። ሓደ adjacent side ኣለና፣ ካልኣይ one of the side of the polygon ኣለና። Third, we construct an extended side based on the extension, based on the adjacent side ማለት እዩ። ካብቲ adjacent side ተበጊስኩም side extend ትገብሩ። reason እንታይ ተተይልኩም construction ኢኹም ትብሉ። geometry concept ሃመያት ኩሉ ግዜ mathematics statement እንዮ ካው reason ኢኻ ተቐምጥ። ስለዚህ the statement is construct or extend a line from the adjacent side. ተተይልካ reason ተተይልካ እንታይ ኢኻ ትለፍቲ construction ኢልኩም ኢኹም ፅሕፉ። ስለዚህ ስሉካ ይኾነ extend ልግበር with a reason ስለለኾነ ማለት እዩ። Good job. So having this said, this is called an exterior angle. Now, our objective is to talk about the exterior angle of a regular polygon. Now, we are going to specify with two interesting examples. The first one, we are going to compute the sum of the exterior angle of a triangle. Two, we are going to compute again the sum of the exterior angle of hexagon. So the rest, na quadrilateral, na penta, hepta, octa, nona, deca, naziatom, بتا فورمولا لهوك مسرت بتا سرارح لهوك مسرت سرحون مالتي شي. So let me proceed on how to find the sum of the exterior angle of a triangle. So to do that, we construct just like this the exterior angles of the triangle as you can see it. ስለዚህ I'm going to assume the interior as well as the exterior angle of the given triangle by a certain letters. So as you know, we know that there are Greek letters which stands for the angle of a polygon. Say, for example, I'm going to assume here, say, for example, I will say this is alpha, right? And let me say this is again beta, and this is again gamma. Okay, this is an assumption. Let's assume alpha, beta, and gamma are the exterior angle of the given triangle, one. And let's assume the interior angle of the triangle to be like A, B, and C. Then These are statements, isn't it? What is the reason? Assumption. We are assuming. Now, what is our objective is the question. Our objective is to know the sum of the exterior angle of a triangle. This is our objective. That means we need to know the sum of, okay, the sum of, or required, I will say here, required, what's required is to know the sum of alpha plus beta plus gamma. Okay, this is a question. Okay, we need to know the sum of alpha plus beta plus gamma. This is the objective. Now let's see how we are going to do it. Now we know that the sum of angle, or the sum of a straight line, or the measure of angle of a straight line is 180 degree. In a geometric concept, say for example, if you have a straight line, the measure of angle of a straight line is 180 degree. So in this case, we have these straight lines. Okay, we have these straight lines, and we have again this straight line. These are concise. So we are going to have the sum of 3 straight lines. Like the first one is A plus alpha is equals to 180 degree. If you can say reason, the sum of measure of straight line is 180 degrees. That is the reason. Next one, B plus beta is still 180 degree. All right. And the third one is C plus gamma is 180 degree. Okay. So we have 3 statements. Okay. 3 statements. Okay. We have these 3 statements. Now I'm going to add all these 3. Okay. So adding all these 3 yields the following: A plus alpha plus B plus beta plus C plus gamma is equals to the sum of the 3 180 degree angles. That is 3 multiplied by 180, and the sum becomes 540 degree. You can add them. That's simple. So let me collect the measure of exterior and the measure of, or the sum of the measure of exterior and the sum of the measure of interior angles. Just similar letters in this case. So let me say A plus B plus C on one side plus alpha plus beta plus gamma on the other side, and the sum is 540 degree. Okay, so I'm going to ask you one thing. What do you think is A plus B plus C? Right? So you recall the last session, the sum of the measure of interior angle of a triangle. We calculated it, isn't it? The sum of the measure of interior angle of a triangle is 180 degrees, isn't it? So in that case, we are going to say this is 180 degree plus alpha plus beta plus gamma is equals to 540. And finally, we will have the following. Okay, alpha plus beta plus gamma becomes 540 degree minus 180 degree. So if I just calculate it finally, then you will get the sum of alpha plus beta plus gamma is the difference of 540 and 180 degree, which is 360 degree. Okay, this is the sum of the measure of exterior angle of a triangle, which is 360 degree. That's the calculation. Okay, so hope you understand me. Now we have 2 things before I just proceed to the next concept. I mean the next competition of sum of measure of exterior angle. The first one is the sum of the measure of interior angle of a triangle is 180 degree, and the sum of the measure of exterior angle of a triangle is 360 degree. لهم بخلطة تحسبوا مالتي. نا exterior angle دمرهم 360، interior angle دمرهم 180 توديها. زيادة تحسبوا مالتي. خامة جيرنا سريحنا from the concept of measure of straight angle. كلها reason نعتها. ياندان one statement reason اللاتها. This is how you compute the sum of the exterior angle of a triangle. Now, I wish I could just compute the sum of the exterior angle of a quadrilateral, but I want to go further with the concept of a hexagon. So I'm proceed with this. A little bit it needs steps, and hope I want your patience here. So determine the sum of the exterior angle of a regular hexagon. So we talk about again here hexagon. Hexagon is a six-sided regular polygon or a six-sided polygon. So based on that concept, we are going to assume the measure of interior angle of a triangle of a hexagon by certain letters, and the sum of the measure of exterior angle by certain letters. Okay, so as usual, I'm gonna say this is like A, B, C, D, E, and F, because we have, if six-sided, we have six angles, has 0. Okay, so the other one is the exterior angles. We'll call this one alpha, okay, beta, then gamma, then I'll say here theta, and then here I can call it phi. Okay, I'm just assuming all this. So let's proceed this. We know the sum of, the measure of a straight line is 100 degrees. The measure of angle of a straight line is 100 degrees. Based on that concept, we have 6 sums over here. So I will start by alpha plus b is equals to 180 degree, 1. And again, beta plus c is equals to 180 degree. Again here, okay, so we just forget over here. I'm going to assume this one. Suppose alpha, beta, gamma, theta, phi. So it's 5. Then I'm going to assume here again. Let me call the angle over here to be, all right, phi. Then I can call it t. Let's call it t. It's okay. Okay, let's call it t. So we have this alpha plus b 180 degree, beta plus c is equals to 180 degree. Then gamma plus d is 180 degree. And again, theta plus e is 180 degrees. And again, phi plus f is 180 degree. And finally, we have t. I'm just assuming t to be a little bit not confusing, but it's measure of angle. T plus a is 180 degrees. So these statements have their own reason, and the reason is that the measure of angle of a straight line is 180 degree. Okay, statement 180 degree. Okay, so we have how many statements over here? 6 statements. Okay, 6 statements. So 4 and 5 and መጨረሻ ታኔና ማለት 6. So adding all of them, okay, what does it yield? Adding all of them, it yields alpha plus beta plus gamma plus theta plus phi plus t, all the angles, and plus all the measure of interior again, a plus b plus c plus d plus e plus f is equals to 6 times 180 degree, which is 1080 degrees. Okay, 1080 degree, because it's like no, 720 rather. So it will be measure the sum of measure of interior angle of hexagon is n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degree, which is 4 multiplied by 180 degree, which is 720 degrees. Okay, now my question to you is, what do you think is the sum of the measure of interior angle of no, this is, I am right, I think. So this is 1080 degrees. I just forget, I'm just missing it. So we have the sum of the measure of interior angle of a hexagon, which is n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degree. Kafta n minus 2 multiplied by 180 degree. we have the side which is hexagon, which is 6, then 6 minus 2, which is 4, and 4 multiplied by 180 degree, which is 720. So finally, we are going to summarize in this way. Alpha plus beta plus gamma plus theta plus phi plus t plus 720 degrees is equals to 1080 degrees. شيء هنجي الجرامر إذا أنا متشرش هذا شديشتك بس حبيبي الثمانية هذا. Okay, has nothing to do with this measure of interior because it's 6 multiplied by 180 degree and it is 1080, which is perfect. And again here, just arranging like terms yields the following result. So alpha plus beta plus gamma plus theta plus phi plus t is equals to 1080 degrees minus 720 degrees. So altogether, what do you have? Alpha plus beta plus gamma plus theta plus phi plus t is the difference, or subtracting 720 from 1080, which is how much? 360 degrees. That's it. From this, we can generalize that the sum of the measure of exterior angle of a hexagon is 360 degree. 360 degree. And we have calculated in the last slide the sum of the measure of angle of measure of exterior angle of a triangle is 360 degrees. So we can just generalize that the sum of the measure of the sum of the measure of exterior angle of an n-sided polygon is 360 degree. Okay, nevertheless of the number of sides, it means nevertheless of the number of sides, the sum of the measure of exterior angle of a regular polygon is 360 degrees. So as a nota bene, you can generalize. Okay, the sum of measure of exterior angle an n-sided polygon. Okay, an n-sided polygon is 360 degrees. Full stop. Okay, this is a nota bene. لخور يكون لمثال 10 سايد يكون 7 سايد يكون 6 سايد يكون 5 يكون 4 يكون 3 تدميرا دان اكسترير انجل كلن تدميرا 300 سايد مثلا مالتي لو اي هيكساغون نسرحو كوادريلاترال وي ريكتانجل كنسرح نخل سكوير كنسرح نخل بينتاغون كنسرح نخل ግን ዘሊለ ናብ ሄክሳጎን መጻፈው ጀነራላይዝ ነው ጋር ከተመን ካብ 3 ስላብ 6 ሳይድ ዲና መጽና ስለስታይ ነጥቃለ ማለት ያመንጎል ለው ቶ 4 5 ይውን ተደሚሮም ኤክስተሪየር አንግሎም 3 ሳይድ መጽ generalize المقاس كت عمني لأبدي أجير يعني وشي سلزي you can just say that the sum of the measure of exterior angle of an n-sided regular polygon is 360 degree. Full stop. That's how you do it. All right, girls and boys, I'm gonna skip to another concept called the sum of interior and exterior. Okay, the sum of the measure of interior and exterior angle of a regular polygon is given by n multiplied by 180 degrees. So this is the formula you have. Given n the number of sides of the regular polygon, the sum of the exterior and the interior is always n multiplied by 180 degrees. Simple. So what you will do is you just insert the number of sides over here and always multiplied by 180 degrees. بزي أنا نبازح. بزي exemplify المقدار. لو خلي concept لا بروفين خلي قليلي بروفو. لفتا calculation يكاتي بقليلو مالتي استي. How we are going to do this? Find the sum of the interior and exterior angle of a six-sided polygon. So what is given? Taito yuna. Number of sides is 6. So required menena. Required sum, yes. Sum of exterior and interior malady. Therefore, the solution is as follows. So the solution is given by n multiplied by 180 degree, where n is the number of sides of the polygon. So based on the example, you are asked to find the sum of the interior and exterior of a six-sided polygon. So you just insert 6 in place of n and multiplied by 180 degrees. So finally, what do you have? You have 1080 degrees, full stop. ስለዚህ ኢንተሪየርና ኤክስተሪየር ተደሚረን 180 ዲግሪ መጻል ታይ ማለት ሃይ ተርሁን ላብዚ አይኮስደኩም ለፍታ previous example ሰራህና ማለት እዩ ረይወዚያ can you see this one is called exterior ዚያታ ይትባል ዚያ exterior ትባል ዚያታ ይትባል interior ተደሚረን እንደ መጽየን 180 ደመጽየን that's what we have because this is hexagon a six-sided polygon. Exterior kidmer interior 180 ተመዚዩ based on this is our proof okay or is our solution right lima let's see this yes it is right. So the sum of exterior and interior is always 1080 degree for a six-sided regular polygon ማለት ነው okay so simple. Based on that concept again we are going to extend the given activity on this way. Okay, consider you have a triangle with two interior angles given 60 degrees and 40 degrees. Nazawzni measure na nazawzni measure angle tawikun. You are asked to find the measure of this one. Nazi adilat el-khani. Okay, the remaining interior angle na the measure of exterior angle at each vertex. Malet malati at each vertex. Zia malet at each vertex malet zia. The measure of the exterior at each vertex. So in a sense, is to mean that you are asked to find alpha over here, beta, na, gamma. Nazi the measure of exterior angle at each vertex. So the number of the exterior angles, the number of the vertex are the same. The number of the sides and the number of the exterior angles are also the same. Lazy na alpha na beta na gamma had a measure of interior angle. Another ጥያቄ ተጠይቁም ይሁን ስለዚህ based on that you are asked to calculate the remaining. So I'm gonna give this for you guys okay and now before I proceed to this one, this is a last example only. So what is the general concept that you hold on the concept of polygons? We calculated the sum of measure of interior angle of a polygon. We calculated the sum of the measure of angle of exterior angle of a polygon. We calculated the sum of interior angle of a polygon or measure of interior angle of a polygon based on the concept. ስለዚህ ቤዚክ ባህል ነገራት ሒስኩም መኾንኩም ተስፋ ይገብር ሜን ፊቸር ናቶም ፖሊጎናት ከዓ ሓምለ ሓስኩም ተስፋ ይገብር ማለት እዩ ስለዚህ ከዚ ላብ ካሊእ ኮንሰፕት ከሽግረኩም ማለት እዩ we call that one circles okay circle ልብል